that are doing live stuff, and I'm like, why are they so unprepared when it starts?
Yeah, no, whatever the software is, you never know. Like, we could be live right now afterwards. It says starting, but I have no idea when we end up being live. Other than it'll say live here, but that's always like 10 or 15
we're
seconds
live on the
after
internet
it
now,
is.
so.
Oh, live! Hey!
Welcome.
Welcome. Wow! It's Sunday
Actually, you
night.
should welcome me.
I should welcome you. Guys, on the channel, you're watching this probably after the fact because nobody is here yet. This is Greg. Greg is my partner.
Wow, so this is YouTube, hey?
Yeah, this is, what? Did you say YouTube or YouTube?
YouTube.
Yeah, this is YouTube.
It looks so similar to Facebook Live.
It looks exactly like our set for our show. Greg is actually my business partner and also the co-founder, co-host of the Justin and Greg Show, the world's most originally named Facebook Live show.
It's actually kind of embarrassing to talk about. What's your show called? Well, it's both of our names together.
I think it actually illustrates a very important point, which is don't overthink things.
Hey, you guys work in marketing, hey? You're pretty creative. Yeah, what's your show called? The Justin and Greg Show.
Justin, Greg, Show!
Which is nice, though, because if one of us ever dies off, the show's done. Unless
No.
we find another Greg.
No, like, remember those two movie reviewers, Siskel and Ebert? Was that the original?
Yes.
And then it was like Ebert and Roper?
Roper,
I mean,
yeah.
it was never the same, but, you know, it was definitely something. The comments are already coming in, Greg. How do you feel about this?
I don't
OG Savage. Hey, I'm audiography. Yo. D. Marshall, go VGK. Yeah, baby.
Hey, so that's...
Can you see the jersey
those are
on
comments.
the...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right there. There you go. Go VGK.
Did you tell them we're going back for playoffs?
Oh, I don't know if I've told you guys. We're doing a double take in Vegas in 2 weeks. NAB, that's like the Giant Wild Camera Show, and Game 1 of the playoffs for the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, I had a friend call me. He's going to game 2, or trying to anyway. Tickets are going for about $500-ish to get in the building.
Ooh.
He's like, hey, can you get me in? I'm like, oh, I feel like a big deal. I'm like, no, I can't do anything for you.
We're getting in, though.
I can't do it.
I actually just moved my previous Vegas Golden Knights media pass somewhere. Anyway, it's like, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
Film Form says, love you stuff.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Right back at you.
That's good. OG Savage says, you're like my all-time favorite YouTuber ever. How does that feel, Greg, to have somebody say that to
I
you?
don't think he's talking about me.
Oh, how many subscribers are you up to, Greg?
A few. There's a few on there.
That's good.
A lot of grace being tossed around on that.
Greg kind of started a YouTube channel.
It's tough. It's tough. You watch YouTube all the time, and well, you do, right?
Yeah.
And then you want to create stuff. And the hardest thing for me as a creator is actually finding out what I want to create.
Sure.
Right? Because you see, like, oh, I like what they're doing, and they're doing, and they're doing. I'm going to take elements of all that. And then you realize you've got, like, this thing that is fine.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, it's
that's
fine,
true.
but it's not really you.
Like, the idea of actually being original on YouTube, or really any platform, is kind of weird. Because nobody's actually original. If you're like, oh, man, what an original idea. Nobody's original. What they've done is they've taken something and they've given it their own spin.
Right. I mean, which would be original, but I think we need to focus more on the you in YouTube. Be you.
Be you.
Isn't that like a beam? Be me?
Logan Taylor says, appreciate all the great content. Just started my channel, put myself out there a bit, so this seems like a perfect stream for me right now.
Logan, welcome. You and I have a lot in common, apparently. Just starting out.
Well, you're just starting on YouTube. I mean, it is going to be a big discussion tonight if you're wondering, like, what are we doing tonight? Well, I wanted to have a real conversation about putting yourself out there and what it's like to, you know, put your stuff out on the internet, because the internet is a wild place.
Right. I thought you were talking about streaking at a sports event. Putting yourself out there, but obviously.
That is definitely a different way to be able to put
well,
yourself
that
out there.
note
You can
is off.
No, it's funny when Reddit is a place that is like very dangerous to put yourself out there.
You can always tell a Redditor, hey, because they're a little bit melancholy and they're always skeptical about everything.
They're
right?
so negative.
Like, hey, I'm not sure that's accurate. Or they give you the link to the real thing. Like, Snopes, not true.
But is there any feeling better than impressing Redditors? Like, the odd time, I think we've had 1 or 2 pieces of content where people are like, this is actually not horrible. And you're like, I'm winning!
Yeah. Like, hey, that was fine. And you're like, really? Fine?
We did it! We made it. We made it. All right, we got, like, people coming on here. If you don't know, this is Greg. Greg is my business partner, the co-host of Justin and Greg Show, which is actually interesting because we started this show on Facebook Live.
Yes.
Because YouTube Live was not even a thing when we started that, and Facebook Live was going wild, and we're like, what if we did a live show on Facebook where we made the audience, you the people, a part of the show? And
it was awesome.
And, yeah, and, you know, we've kind of built our following and had some wild, amazing adventures, and We have now a YouTube channel that we put like the vlogs on, but not the live show.
No, the thing back then though was live was getting promoted huge on Facebook, and it was easy to go not viral, but to spread the content, right? It's a lot easier on Facebook to say, hey, can you share this post and reach 2,000 more people than it is on YouTube to be like, hey, can you give me a thumbs up?
Yeah, I guess the other thing we should mention too is when Greg and Justin, i.e. Justin and Greg, are doing our show, we're a lot more like wild and zany, but I wanted this to be like a real conversation. But what is neat about that show, which I can't do here, is on our Facebook Live show, I could just tap on your comments, and they'd be coming up on the screen, and we could be talking about them, and everybody can be doing that. No, VidPresso doesn't work for this. It only works for Facebook Live, not YouTube Live, which really is.
Get on it, YouTube.
Matt Vitsky says, hey, that's the grinder dude.
Yeah, hey, Matt.
Wait.
I guess.
From the coffee video, or did you see him on Grindr? Because if you saw him on Grindr, the app, I want to know about that. So does your wife.
Yep.
So,
just, no need to clarify, Matt.
Anyway, that's...
I've never been called that. Hey, you're the dude on Grindr.
OG7 says, I miss your long hair. Me too, actually. If you didn't hear that story or follow me on Instagram, I would trim the sides of my head in between haircuts, and I was trimming it one time, actually the day before we were going to Vegas, to have our first National Hockey League media
great timing
credentials, and I looked after trimming, and there was a chunk from my hair gone. I don't know where it went. I don't know what happened to it. It was just gone.
She gone.
I shaved my head. Tyler Sarah says, Greg, sounding better. You've been sick, yeah.
I am about 1.5 to 2 days, 100% better, but I did today. I did the falsetto today, so I'm like, hey, I'm improving.
Yeah.
That's how I can tell.
And now I feel like we're going to talk for an hour and your voice is going to be gone again.
Well, I will be okay. I have some lozenges somewhere.
Somewhere over there.
Lozenges.
Anyway, we've got a whole crew here, you guys. And just, I mean, as always with these live streams is I love your comments. I love your feedback. For the sake of trying to put some continuity together, we'll talk for a little bit. We'll pick up comments. We'll talk for a little bit. We'll pick up comments.
Sure.
Unfortunately, with this show, normally on our show, we have a producer. He feeds us the good comments. We talk about it. Lots of your comments go up on the screen.
But I heard on YouTube, all the comments are good.
All the comments are great. If you want to super chat and donate some money towards me buying a wig, you know, just super chat.
What is super chat?
Super chat is where they can pay money and have their comment be like promoted, which I don't think anybody cares when we got 20 people watching here right now. But when you got like hundreds of people, it's actually a great way to try and like promote your stuff if you do a super chat well. Like throw somebody $50, say something interesting when they got a big following, and
oh, then Casey Neiston says, hey, Justin Rivas.
Justin,
oh,
thanks.
Cool.
Yeah, you want me to read this thing? Well, you paid me $50. I probably should.
Always marketers ruining things. Hey, just let me watch the show, guys.
Always. OG Savage said, I remember when you had like 100 subs. It's like you.
Well, I have like a 6-inch, one at a time, but
I would never in your car.
Sub. Yeah.
Oh, like a Subway sub.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant like subwoofers in your car.
Oh, right. Subs here means subscribers. Right. I don't have 100 subscribers. No.
Anyway, that's great. Tonight we're talking about putting yourself out there because it's something that's hard. And I think what sparked some of this was, I mean, I have the odd video every once in a while of mine like goes kind of crazy. And when videos are inside my network, I think all of you guys know me, you know my heart, you know, like I'm generally a good guy. I'm not just out there trying to, you know, Logan Paul my way to the top. But when it moves outside your own network, people have no idea who you are, and sometimes they leave much nastier comments.
Yeah, for example, you've got your Canon video that says I switched to Canon.
Yes.
And you did it a while ago now, but people are all over it right now, and they're punching you daily in the ego.
Right in the ego.
Wham!
Right in the pair of my egos.
Yeah.
Egos.
Paramagos.
It was funny. I was talking with another YouTuber today. And he's like, every time I search Canon 6D, he's like, your video keeps coming up. And I'm like, yeah, I think that's the problem. You know, somehow it got picked up in search. Great for me, getting lots of subscribers off it. But, you know, it goes outside of that. And I think that there's this fear from people about putting themselves out there that they're going to get negativity. How do you feel about that?
That is realistic with anything. If you have an opinion on anything, people will come at you.
Yeah. It's interesting because we work with a lot of brands and businesses in kind of our consultancy job. And there's lots of them who are like, ooh, we don't want to go on social media because what if somebody says something bad about us?
Yeah, and we have to tell them, like, hey, guess what? They're already saying bad things about you. Like, we went to a restaurant the other night. If it was a poor experience, I'm telling someone, and wouldn't you like me to know that I'm talking about you? Mm-hmm. So you can be like, oh, we're sorry, that's not how we normally do it. Let's fix that.
Yeah.
Brands.
The thing about YouTube is, or I think any kind of creative endeavor on the internet is, it's not like you're having experiences with people all the time like a brand is. you're actually creating something, putting it out there, and something creative that typically matters to you, and going, here's my vulnerable self and something that I've made that's a big part of who I am, internet. And then the internet's like, wha-bam! The thing is they're not actually usually like that.
I wish that you could like have like the old Batman, wha-bam!
That'd be sweet.
Right?
In cartoony characters.
I think there's a couple things. When you're creating something, the vulnerable part is, hey, I created this, and I'm actually sharing it with you.
Yeah.
Right? That is ultimate vulnerability right there. Of,
Sure.
hey, I did this. This is kind of a part of who I am here. This is for you. And if people spit on that and shoot it down, it's like, but I want to question that person of like, yeah, it's cool that they're sharing, but you need to believe in that content or what you've created more so than the feedback. Because you guys, if you watch this right now, the feedback, more often than not, is wrong. It's wrong.
It's wrong?
Yeah, a lot of it is wrong.
What do you mean?
Okay, so someone like Walt Disney, I think about these examples. Walt Disney was told time and time again by countless people that could have given him a platform or given him money or opportunity that said, you're actually not creative enough to do what you're proposing. And he said, go pound sand. I am creative enough to do what you're proposing. And you hear all the story about screenplays that aren't good enough in like the typical world. And oftentimes people get discouraged when they're trying to do something new or something different. Over what is built. It's like, you know what, this movie's not going to work in this. And then they find an independent studio that does it and says, hey, we'll support this.
I think the problem is, though, is we've seen 99 other people for every one who are like, my thing is good enough. You're like, you know, like Shark Tank, or here in Canada we have Dragon's Den. They come pitch these terrible ideas that are awful and horrible. And then the people are like, no, like this doesn't make sense. And they're like, I mortgaged my house 3 times. I sold everything that I own, put my family at risk for this business idea that I know is amazing. And these people are like, that was a horrible idea. That happens sometimes too.
That's terrifying, actually. Yeah, and I am probably speaking about the anomalies.
Sure.
Whereas this is probably more realistic of the daily. And when you watch that on Dragon's Den or Shark Tank, I'm gutted. I'm gutted because I'm like, this is a bad idea. And I actually want to know who like, talking about bad feedback, who's giving them feedback on this? Who's the people in their life that are saying, hey, go for it? Because something that we do as dudes that like to encourage people, and if you're in a community that like is positive all the time, sometimes the most powerful thing you could tell someone is a little piece of honesty of like, hey, actually, I don't think you're good enough to do that.
Sure. Or sometimes as a constructive criticism, there's criticism and there's constructive criticism which says, you could be better if, and give some of those things.
Sure.
But I want you to think about, how do you know the difference between legitimate feedback and not legitimate feedback while I pull some of these comments?
Sure.
Actually, just start talking about that while I read the comments.
Okay, so I think that you need to be in a place, one, where you're asking for feedback, right? So if you're this guy who's like, I mortgaged my thing and whatever, you need to be saying, hey, what do you think about this? And people need to tell you. And if people are telling you the same thing over and over again, well, that's an idea of like, hey, wait a minute, is the majority right here?
Yeah.
I think you need to have people in your life that you trust. And I mean not just like your best friends or your family, but I mean like people that can give you honest feedback and they don't actually care what you think.
Right.
Right? And you have to have like an inner circle of people to say, hey, what do you think about this? And they say, you know what? It has merit, or no, you need to move on from this.
Yeah.
Because we do this all the time. We do MC gigs and we do content, and no matter what we do, there's people that will come up to you and say, hey, you're doing a great job. And if I listened to them, I would leave with the biggest head in the world and go, wow, I'm amazing.
I try to always listen to those people.
Right? But my self-awareness says, but how can I get better? Like, tell me something where I need to improve. And oftentimes we go audit ourselves and say, hey, I need to improve on this, and this.
Well, I think there's this misconception that you're either born really good at something or not born really good at something. And that's something that people need to remember, is that you didn't wake up one day and be LeBron James or be Michael Jordan or be Tiger Woods or be an amazing singer. That those people had to put in a ridiculous amount of times, and all of them actually really were not good at one point in time. Now, there's definitely levels of talent and things you're naturally more capable of.
Yeah, and growth spurts help too in basketball.
Sure. I mean, if you're 5'6", it's going to be tough to make the NBA, but it has been done.
Sure.
Muggsy Bogues?
Yeah, they can dunk too.
Well,
it was, Spud Webb was pretty small, and he could dunk.
Sure.
I think he won a dunk contest.
So you could overcome a lot of things, but also just know that part of the process, too, is just sucking, and then you get better when you take the feedback and you kind of work it out.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I don't know if you want to do comments or not, but this go ahead.
For that thought. Finish your thought.
There's a book called Mindset, and I actually haven't read much of the book other than the first few chapters, but it talks about your perspective on life. Now, there's the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. And the fixed mindset is they believe that you only know what you know. You can't really learn anything else. And they're scared to put themselves out there because what if they're wrong, right?
Classic example is kids in school. You got a teacher who asks a question and says, all right, guys, what is 2 + 2? And now all of the students as grade 1s, there's a number of them in the fixed mindset who say, well, I'm not going to answer the question because if I answer the question and I get it wrong, everybody's going to think that I'm stupid.
Right.
But people in the growth mindset go, is it 5? And the teacher says, no, it's 4. Oh, okay, thank you. Now I know the answer. That has no bearing on whether I'm smart or stupid. I'm actually smarter now this second than I was 4 seconds ago before I stick up my hand because now I know the answer. And I'm not worried what other people think around me because it has no bearing on whether I'm stupid or smart. The process to getting smart is to ask questions and make lots of mistakes.
Which is great. When you hear that, it makes so much sense. You go, oh yeah, like, why am I the way that I am? Like in university, no one's answering questions unless they know the answer. People at like guest lectures, hey, any thoughts? And then people are like, we all have thoughts. Because when the class is done, you go talk to someone.
Yeah.
But I hate that it's almost built into us. Maybe it's our society, maybe it's the way we're raised, I don't know.
We just got a $12 super chat from KJ Soul. Said, awesome content, was in a similar situation with foster and adoption with our situation. God used it to encourage others in our congregation to foster and adopt. So if you didn't know, I'm a foster parent and an adoptive parent. That's amazing, KJ Soul. Thank you. We need more people in the world to step up and do that. So
one more
I'm
time.
looking at you.
So that's a super chat, eh?
That's a super chat. It shows up right there. Super chat. $12.
That's kind of cool. KJ.
I guess I'm buying coffee tomorrow. Anyway, thank you very much. We're going to get into some other comments here. Andrew Russell says, hey guys, what is up? Andrew, super fan. F. Karen says, I remember when you used to love Panasonic. I still love Panasonic, just not for vlogging. I love it for a lot of other things. It's amazing.
Like their DVD players.
OG Savage says, I remember Justin when he put ads on YouTube to get subs. And the funny thing is, I wonder if, I mean, you're saying you remember when I had 100 subscribers. That was like when I first launched my channel. I remember I did, it's funny, I'm actually going to Mexico this week on vacation.
Without his camera.
Well, I'm going to bring a photo camera. I'm not going to create any videos. I need to check out for a little bit from just the whole social world. I just started the vlog and I decided I was going to do 7 vlogs, 7 days in a row because we're on vacation. We only had our son Odin and the other babies. They weren't coming with us. They were too young. And so I was like, I only have 1 kid and somebody's cooking and cleaning and doing all this stuff for me. I'm going to vlog 7 days. And I did it. And I was trying to figure out how do I get people to see this. And I tried YouTube ads. And
did it work?
I got a few, yeah.
Because didn't you just recently do it again?
And then now I'm basically what I'm doing is I'm taking any money I make off advertising and just dumping that back into trying to find people who will connect with some of my content and see if it's a viable way to grow the channel. Here's a hint. It's not really. Like, I don't think it's worth the money, but for us and part of our job, it's a good way for me to experiment. But anyway, that's...
aren't you scared that you're going to fail?
No. It's only money. Andrew Russ says, Lego my egos. Hey, you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Classic. Albie Do says that's how I found you in sub from that video. Hey, found it. There you go.
Hey, it works.
Hey, it works. Matt Vitsky says, I'm upgrading for my Canon T6i soon. I'm wondering if you'd recommend the A6500 or wait a month or two and get the A7 III. Definitely get the A7 III if you can afford it. That's a random tech question, but that's what I want.
I concur about the A7 III.
Urasimo says, preach. OG Savage said, is that a Fender Bullet Strat? Do you want to tell the story of this guitar, Greg?
Yeah, so we do MC gigs, and it was one called Hope's Home, and they were auctioning off a signed
Paul McCartney
guitar.
Yeah, it was a Squire Strat.
It was worth a lot of money.
Yeah, it was worth thousands of dollars.
So when we're being Justin and Greg, we promise to have fun. And that's kind of the risk of people saying, hey, we want you to come do stuff because we're going to make it interesting for better or for worse. And so we went to a pawn shop and bought this for $50.
Yeah.
And snuck it in, and we copied the signature on it, and then we kind of had it hidden away. And we were kind of introducing, like, we're auctioning this off and this off, and then this off.
We swapped the guitars. Kind of actually before everybody came and sat down, we went and put the Paul McCartney guitar away and put this one up on the front of the stage so people didn't know. And then we're talking about it, and where I'm seeing, and I picked it up. I'm like, Greg, look at this thing plays great. And everybody's like, don't touch the guitar.
Like, he is doing it as like an idiot. Like, oh no, it's fine. Look at me with a mic and playing the guitar. And I'm like, you look so dumb right now.
And I was like, Greg, do you want to try this out? And Greg was like, yeah, no. But when he said, yeah, I was like, yeah. And I threw the guitar, and I was like 10 feet away. And it smashed on the ground, and there was a collective gasp.
It was actually extremely awkward because half the people were aware that it was the wrong guitar, because I think it was a different color. Even.
Yeah, it was a different color, but half the people had no idea.
But half the people had no idea, and they're sitting there going, who are these idiots and why?
They just wasted
who
thousands
trusted
of
these
dollars
guys?
for charity.
Right? And so then we switched it, and the person who was like the head of the organization was like having like heart palpitations. And we apologized profusely.
Funny. No, it was fine. That is a Lion by Washburn. It's not a real guitar. So Andrew says feedback is essential for creating. Erasimo says, did you guys have an aha moment early that was a turning point? I guess maybe in context of creating content. I mean, maybe each of us.
Okay, so you go first.
Okay.
Actually.
I mean, mine was actually... I read this book, Mindset, the one that Greg was talking about, before I actually started any kind of YouTube stuff. And I was always the person who was deathly afraid of making mistakes. I was the kid who would never put my hand up for fear of being wrong. If I ever got in trouble, it was like mortifying, like soul crushing. And then I read this book and actually just like completely changed my life. And they're like, oh, mistakes are just an opportunity to learn. And if I make a mistake, then tomorrow I'm actually a better human being than I was the day before. Honestly, that book, it shook me to the core in the best way possible, and I've kind of rebuilt on that. So if you're struggle making mistakes, Mindset by Carol Dweck.
Yeah, and it actually tells you how to change your mindset as well. It's not just like, hey, you're either this or this. It's like, no, actually, to adjust it, do this. And I think for me, it was like, so growing up in elementary school, I lived in this city called Saskatoon, and I was a popular kid. It was great. I had a lot of fun there. Had a lot of friends. And then I moved cities, and I'd start from scratch. And I'll never forget hanging out by the garbage can with my friends Fies and Danny talking about dragons. I don't like dragons. They did. But they were the only kids that would accept me in, right? And I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to hang out with Fies and Danny and talk about dragons. And it was in that moment of like kind of resetting to go, wait a minute, why, like, how can I have friends here and not have friends here? And that was actually the moment, but it was a realization to me of like, oh, wait a minute, that I can change things, right? Because that's not who I am, the dragon guy, but I was myself back in Saskatoon. And so I spent years internally walking through what is keeping me from being myself? What is keeping me from being myself? And it wasn't until, I probably went, what, 12? It wasn't until probably the age 18 or 19 where I realized, wait a minute, I can just be me, and that makes me way more comfortable. And in doing that, I can do cool stuff. So what I realized for my superpower was I can take things that are ordinary and make them extraordinary.
Greg was known, I didn't know him back then, but I hear his friends say the cardigan kid, because he would wear sweatpants and cardigans like after school when you were in college, and you just didn't seem to give two rips what people thought.
Yeah, cardigans, I loved cardigans. And I spelled cardigan with a K, and it was awesome. And anyway, so it was there where they used to do this this event every year, and it was the same. It was the same structure. And I walked into that structure and I thought, wait a minute, this could be 10 times better. And so what I did is I galvanized, I was at college, I galvanized the student body to create this ridiculous play called Pan Walks On. And there was styrofoam, and there was guns, and there was like, but what we did was we broke the fourth wall. We had people falling off balconies. It got canned. Zip lines, everything, right? And it was kind of like, wait a minute, if you can dream it, you can do it. And it was in that moment where I realized, kind of like that Steve Jobs talks about, like everything in the world was designed by someone else, that you could design something. Where I was like, oh, wait a minute, I can do this. I can just walk into something and change what's done and just try new things, and it could be great.
Cool. We got a comment here. Kay Daly says, hello, what's going on? What's a top convo? I'm going to be working on stuff while listening. Would love to be updated on what's going on. So we're just talking about creating, about putting yourself out there, a little bit about getting over the fear of putting yourself out there, and also what happens when things don't go well, when you do put yourself out there and the negative comments come and all those kinds of things. But another comment here from Matt Vitsky says, people shouldn't just hate for no reason because no one's getting anything out of it. Instead, if someone criticizes, they should tell the creator what to fix next time or what to change in the future.
And that's your problem with the thumbs down button, right?
Yes.
I thumbs down all Justin's videos to try and keep him grounded, but there's no context there, right? It's like, hey, thumbs down. Well, what? Did you hate the music? Do you not like me? Was my editing off? Was the storyline suck? Like, what is it?
Yeah, or sometimes it's like, well, you said this thing was better than this thing, and I disagree. Thumbs down. And it's like, okay, well, you know, it is tough, but good feedback is massively valuable. Andrew Russell says on a super chat, thank you, Andrew Russell.
Yeah.
Hey, a toonie like we have here in Canada.
I just love the idea of like
coins.
super chat.
With an unlimited what would you guys do?
You go first because you have an idea.
I'm just like, if we, Justin and Greg, and our business had unlimited money, we would just create content, but what would be the goal of the content that we would create?
I think my goal, like I always talk about laughing my way to a better world. That's what I want for the world. When I turn on the news or even social media, so much of it's negative and frustrating because I feel like as a society, we've lost the ability to dialogue and converse. And so, like Justin and Greg for me was.
Oh no, they're saying we can't hear the voice.
The what?
The audio cut out. Wait.
Check.
Oh no, is the audio back? What's going on here? What's that? Hey guys, is the audio still out, you guys? Oh no, this is bizarre. It says we have audio here, and there's no audio. No!
There's no audio?
Oh, I can hear you here. Audio is fine, I can hear you here. Oh, I can hear everything. Okay.
Oh, that's awkward.
View. Nope, audio is good. Okay.
Collective exhale. I have no idea what I was talking
about. Okay. If we could do anything, you were talking about laughing your way to a better world.
Laugh my way to a better world. So, Justin Greg to me was an escape where I promised whoever watched that we would try and make you laugh without pushing the borders or offending people.
Sure.
For half an hour.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do. So if I could have an unlimited budget, I would, for what we're doing, I would hire a writer, an admin person, and maybe a bigger studio that's a bit more capable. And I would do this all the time because I love to do this. If you look back at my life, I've been doing this my entire life. And now I just realized, like, oh, wait a minute, I'm doing this for a living. And I want to do it all the time because I like to have fun.
For me, I don't actually know, but I bet if you went and looked at the original, like, Latin or Greek or whatever the word humor comes from, I bet humanity is right alongside of it and connected.
I hope you're right.
I hope
that'd be kind of cool.
And for me, that's like, that actually is something where there's this guy, Hassan Minhaj. His stand-up special on Netflix was like, I was like, that's what I want to do, is he would have comedy to like soften people up, and then he would just punch them in the mouth with a great point that he was making. And I feel like humanity is actually something too that we can connect on as human beings. Like, I bet the people who are far left and far right, and like in Canada we don't have Republican and Democrat, it's maybe a little bit more gray, but I bet Republicans and Democrats laugh at the same jokes in the same movies at times.
Sure.
It would be something that would actually like connect and you could have a conversation. So I think humor is really powerful in that way.
Yeah, and also like I just love the idea of remembering that, hey, you're human, I'm human. You're a Republican, I'm a Democrat. Like in theory, let's just say that. Like we're neutral.
Why do you make me? Is it because I shaved my head?
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah. But like the ability of like you care about things and I care about things. And at the end of the day, when you distill it down, they're usually like virtues of like you actually care about humanity based on your experience, and I care about humanity based on my experience. And we forget that, and it becomes like the anonymous, almost like, hey, you're so wrong, and you're so wrong, and I'm like, why can't we just be good people and try to make the world a better place? And that's simplifying things way too much. I realize that.
Sure.
But that's where humor, I think, allows us to do some cool stuff. So.
Yeah. Chad Watkins says, love your show. Wish there was more content creators that encouraged and gave advice rather than giving thumbs down because you're in the same niche or niche.
Sure.
Niche or niche.
And something on YouTube where a lot of smaller creators are like, hey, what about us?
Yeah.
And that's kind of a neat comment, Chad, where it's like, hey, you know what? You guys need to kind of band together because you're not necessarily fighting against the big YouTube creators. In some ways, you're fighting against YouTube. But like, you're all in this together. Like, you all understand the world in the same place. And it's like, why don't you just support one another and go for it?
And the idea of feedback, like, negative feedback is actually still good feedback. It's just like, what's tough is when you're emotional about a thing that you put out there. There's times where I have to like leave a comment and come back the next day and go, oh, okay, I think I know what they're trying to say, because you'll get a little bit like defensive about it.
What's the hardest / best piece of negative feedback you've been given?
So a funny one is, this was actually something they intended, I think, to be negative, and it was a positive for me, was this guy said, you use too much cocaine. But he spelled cocaine wrong, which was funny. But for me, I was like, okay, good. Because what I'm trying to do with my videos is dial up the energy and kind of make them a little bit, like, not boring and review-esque. I'm trying to, like, dial up the energy. And this guy's like, perfect. I think I'm landing here. Yeah, so
for me, it was one of my best friends. We shared, like, we actually saw each other 7 days a week. It was high school. It was on church on Sundays. And it was, we worked at McDonald's. So I saw him more than I saw anyone else in the world. And he came up to me and gave me a piece of, not advice, but it was like a criticism that was like, hey, I think at the time it was, you need to be more humble. And I was like scratching my head because we both knew that he had an arrogance problem, right? But he's telling me that I need to be more humble. And so in that moment, I was like, oh, like this sucks. But I had to weigh the fact of like, is what he's saying true?
Right.
Am I going to judge the vessel it comes from, or is what he's saying true? And I had to like take it and be like, okay, I respect that. and I take that as positive criticism. And I didn't send it back to him at all. I just said, cool, like, you're right. I need to worry about myself. And that was hard, but it was a very real moment for me.
I spent 3 years at a job that I interviewed very well for and didn't realize I was way in over my head, and the people who hired me didn't realize I was way in over my head. But they were amazing coaches, but like every week, I took so much, I mean, it was constructive criticism from a coach, but it was basically like, you need to do better in all these different areas. But I grew so much in 3 years. I almost quit like 50 times. Like there was probably 50 evenings where I'm like, tomorrow I'm going to quit. But I stuck it out and took all the things that they gave to me and really like worked it through and tried to apply it to my life. And by the end of it, I was fully capable of doing that job, even though it wasn't a great fit for me, and I would not be doing what I'm doing today. We would not be doing what we're doing today. There would be no business, there would be nothing if it wasn't for those few years of really hard feedback and constructive criticism, but sometimes that's the best thing for you. Yeah. Absolutely.
And while you're doing comments, I'll jump in here. You hear stories all the time about people overcoming things, right? And one of the criticisms about raising children in today's society is that we baby them. We make their lives too easy, whereas actually overcoming things makes them stronger. And someone like Elon Musk will tell you, like, their stories, like, it wasn't easy for them. They had to overcome this, but it prepared them for this. And that's one thing that I think as a parent is very hard to do because you want to give your kids.
And you just want to protect them.
Yeah, you want to give them the easy life, but you realize, wait a minute, I'm crippling them for the long term because they need to be able to overcome obstacles. But,
yeah, really tough. Diana Gladney says that was one of the first personal development books that really helped me. I love the book Mindset. Andrew Russell said, limited characters in Super Chat. What kind of project would you guys do? The funny thing is, I wonder if budget gives you more characters because KJ Soul got more characters. Andrew Russell got very limited. Also, Chad Watkins, $2. Thanks.
Hey, thanks, Chad.
Thank you. Just afterwards.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, what kind of project would you guys do? The thing about our projects, there are projects that I would love to do, but then we also have families and wives. So it's like this weird tension of like, part of me is like, oh, we would go buy a Volkswagen minibus and Greg and I would go tour around the US and just go on a road trip and see what happened. But then I'm like, my wife would kill me, so I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't want to leave her and my kids for like 10 days.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I love, and you love this too, is meeting people. Traditionally, like, if I think about the Hollywood world, like people in Hollywood, I've always had this thing with Hollywood people where like they're just so out there. And they're not real people to us. And I always wanted to dive into who are you on the inside.
Oh,
and
interesting.
One celebrity that I always love that does this, I think, is Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks to me is the most real, honest celebrity out there. He's always a good guy. You always hear good stories about what he's doing in the world. And I'm like, what about everyone else? Like, what makes them tick in like a safe space where it's like you can say whatever you want. I just want to know your story.
I think spending 3 years alone on an island or whatever will do that to you. That's probably why he is the way that he is.
It definitely could be.
All right, man, guys, good comments here.
You gonna read them?
Andrew says, let's all go to the Mr. Rogers movie, Jag Summer Movie Night. Is that coming out?
Yeah, it looks so good.
Diana says she's definitely going to see that. Andrew says, humor is Greek for body fluid. Sad but true.
I don't even know what that means. Like he cries?
The Greek word for humor, it means body fluid.
Ooh.
Oh, man.
I don't even know how that makes sense.
D. Marshall says, so we got the guitar story. What's up with the MJ Thriller album?
Yeah, you have to explain this.
I think I went through this very brief phase. Well, okay, so I used to have a recording studio. I play music. I've always been into, like, great music. So I was like, I need vinyl because I need to experience music through vinyl.
I'm not that way.
And I bought, like, 3 records and they were good. But honestly, like, with kids and other things, like, and the amount of time I have, the record player's been at my dad's for a while. But anyway, I love Michael Jackson.
It's a classic,
I love that album. It's a great album. So there you go. Chad Watkins says, as a new variety content creator, any advice for putting up content and explaining? I'm new in description, and they call it the very things I put in description.
So is he asking about how do you attack the description side of a YouTube video?
Yeah, calling out the very things I put in description.
Maybe give some clarity on that, Chad.
Yeah, just expand on that a little bit more. We'd love to be able to do that.
One thing I want to talk about, is there more comments?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
One thing I want to talk about in terms of how do you put yourself out there is I want people to realize that everyone's different. And I think a lot of times that we see the Gary V's and we understand the truth that he's telling us and go, yeah, I need to hustle more. And you see, like, there was some 16-year-old kid on Facebook telling me to hustle. And I'm like, wow, like, I could eat you for lunch. But I think maybe you're right. And we look at the truths and go, yeah, if I was more like Gary Vee, or if I could just do what he's saying. But we don't give ourselves any credit for being where we are. And I think it's important that at every moment, find time once a week or once a month or once a quarter or at least once a year to look back and see where you've come from. Because everyone's journey is different. And I know even for myself, if you talk to me when I was 18 years old, people said, hey, what are you going to do when you grow up? Or what are you going to do in university? And I didn't know. But I told them, I said, you know what? I know myself enough to say I'm a late bloomer. And around the age of 30 is when I will find my sweet spot and I'll be able to do that. And here I am, 32 years old, and I could tell you at...
A late bloomer, I like that.
Yeah, at the age of, I think it was just after 30, October of just after I was 30. That is when I really fell into like, oh yeah, this is who I am. And so when I see like the hustle and that sort of thing, or if I see Justin, I'll be at home, you know, doing like laundry, and I'll see, oh, Justin Rivas pop up another video. And I go, oh, like, where is that in my life? But there's different context there, right? Like, I'm on a different journey than he is, and I need to support him in his journey and recognize that mine is different and be able to make the most of what I'm doing there. So when I look back in 6 months and go, you know what? I actually created 10 YouTube videos, which I didn't do the 6 months prior to that. That's a process that I think that we all need to leave some room for.
And I think one of the best pieces of advice I can think of is make content that you love, because if you don't, think about down the road. Because there are people who, they make videos because they're trying to build a massive following and pick up people. And so they cover all these things that they don't even really care about or love, but they're doing it because they're trying to like figure out the system. Well, if all these people are following you for that, and then you're like, well, I don't actually like making this content, but you have to either keep making that content and you hate it, that would be terrible, or when you try and pivot and move into something that you do love, most of those people aren't going to care at all, because that's not why they followed you.
Yeah, and I think too, even outside of content, this is what we all fall into. When you're not your own boss and you're the boss of a corporation, it's like, okay, I want to be a sports anchor. I'm going to go to school for sports anchors. I'm going to get in there, and then I'm going to love it for 2 or 3 months, and then I'm going to realize, like, wait a minute, this is now a job.
Sure.
Because I can't change what I'm doing. I talked to a musician. He's a musician he's a freelance musician, and there's Jess Moskaluk. She's a Canadian singer. He travels with her and does guitar. And I said, hey, how is it? How is it on your body? I said, because I heard the traveling's a lot. He said, you know what? It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun for the first few months. The hotels and the planes, like, it was cool. But then it just kind of became like, meh. But what he did say, because he loves what he does, is he said, I'll never get over playing in front of an audience of like 18,000 people in a packed arena. He's like, that is special. So
yeah. Just some clarification from Chad Watkins. He said, I put video shake in the description, and they thumbs down and say the video is too shaky. I understand they post before reading description, but it sucks because I'm new and I'm doing things, took years to do it. I'm trying. So for example, he made a video and he said, you know, guys, sorry, like, video shaky, you know, and they're like, the video shaky. And he's like, yeah, like, I know.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And some of that is, I guess, just the self-awareness, where there's times where I just did a video that I think was great, and I messed up one of the points where I thought that a camera had a feature that it didn't have. People are calling me out afterwards. It's like, okay, cool. I learned, I move on. I pinned a comment that said just, hey, clarification here, you guys. Like, I know that this is not a thing. But at the end of the day, it's you try something, and usually you make a mess of it, and you move on. But the fastest way to learn, we say 80% and go. Explain the 80% and go.
Yeah, 80% and go is you're building something. In this case, Chad, let's say that your movie. You're building something, and you get it 80% of the way there, and then have you work in the agency world with clients, everyone kind of noodles over the last 20% of like, can you change this font a little bit? Can you do this here? Can you do this? And you spend so much time on the 20% to make this video perfect. By the time you put it out, it's lost a lot of what it would have given you, right? So we say, hey, listen, if you get it to 80% and it's pretty darn good, push it out there, because the feedback's important, and faster in this instance is better than slower. Yeah. Right? You want to push it out there and get the feedback and say, cool, I'm going to do it again, because maybe you'll get 3 videos at 80% by the time you get 1 video at 100%, and that's better for you and your audience.
You might even get 5 to 10 videos. Like, who knows? But, I mean, if you guys want to see, actually, I'm going to address this comment because it's funny. Nicholas, I have no idea how to say your last name, Nicholas. He says, I have no idea who either of you are, but I agree. 90% of people are late bloomers. Most people don't know what they want until they're about 20 to 30.
There you go.
Teach at a coding boot camp and made me realize people don't grow up until they get hit with enough trials and tribulations, aka experience. Yeah. Welcome, Nicholas. I have no idea how you found this video. We're content creators, and this is my YouTube channel. That's awesome. What were we just talking about? I had a great point. Is it lost?
No, it's not.
What were we talking about? I don't remember what we're talking about, but anyway.
Give me a moment. I was talking about...
Oh, yeah. So my first vlog, Vlog 001, was terrible, horrible, 80% go.
That's what it was.
Is like if you want to laugh at something, go watch Vlog 001. It's me with this massive camera. It's completely out of focus. The background's blurry, or the background's in focus. My face is out. It's me skateboarding to the store, grabbing a bag of chips, skateboarding home, and being so out of breath because I was so out of shape.
Still is.
And that's the vlog. And there's no story. It's horrible. And I remember sitting there and going, what do I do with this? This is terrible. And I was like, well, if I don't put this one out, I won't do the next one. And so I just hit publish, and you guys can all go and laugh at me. And the second one was better, still not good, but it progressed. But I made 212 videos on YouTube, plus a bunch of other videos for other people, but 212 videos I put on YouTube. If I'd put out 20 videos that year and they were all perfect, I wouldn't have learned nearly as much as I did from just going at that kind of pace and just throwing stuff out there. And at the end of every video, I'd look and go, oh, I don't like that, I don't like that, I don't like that. But I just mentally made notes and went, the next time I'm going to do it different. And it progressively got better.
Yeah, and I think too, Chad, to your point about like, hey, people are saying it's shaky, and I already said it's shaky, is to have your goals in mind. Hey, I did this video, and I put it on the internet. Is that your goal? Well, then you're done. It doesn't matter what they say, right? If your goal is to not make it shaky, and they're like, hey, it's shaky, well, then that's feedback for you, right? But you already know it's shaky, and you can't actually like base your next move on their reactions, because who cares about that, right? If you're new to this, just keep going and keep trying and keep iterating. We always talk about like setting up your goals to try and like, okay, in this video, I'm going to try and experiment here, 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 and then you're going to get better here and here and here.
Well, because I feel like after creating all this much content now, like my level of what I want the level to be at is higher than it was before.
Absolutely.
But for you, you'll push me lots of times where we did a Facebook Live news show. We have our normal Facebook Live show Tuesday nights. But we were going, well, could we do like a fun tech news show 5 days a week live on Facebook? And part of me was like, I don't think anybody cares. And you were like, well, I just want to get the reps in. And that was a big part of it, was just for us to get more reps in. And sometimes that's a goal of creating a piece of content.
Yeah, and the more reps you can get in, the faster, the better off for you. Like if you're filming videos every single day and editing them, and they're terrible, well, guess what? If you do that every single day for 365 days a year, and you're getting the proper feedback in there, you're gonna be great in a year. And that's kind of what you always just say, is like, I've been doing this for 3 years now. And you're like, I'm actually way better than I was. To the point that people are asking you for, what you think about.
Which you might think is ridiculous.
Well, like, you're good at what you do, just not jokes.
Oh, settle down. Dinah Gladney says, these comments come from people that typically never do any work that you have to make the video they're complaining about, LOL. You at least got out there. And that is true. That I had a long conversation on one of these videos today with somebody who was basically saying, this video is stupid, you made it for this reason, just trying to hack the attention, do this, this, and this. But he had a comment in there where he's like, I don't have my own channel, I'll make my own videos, da-da-da. And I was like, oh, well, like my content that I put out here is for people who make stuff. And so I'm actually not surprised by your comment, because, it wouldn't make sense to you if you didn't have this. But in your world, it may have seemed like I did it for this reason, but that's the context. I'm trying to help people who create. He wasn't a creator.
Sure.
So,
and super high level, like anonymous comments, like they give people an outlet. It gives us a sense of power to if I can tear you down, tall poppy syndrome, then I feel better about myself.
Tall poppy syndrome.
Yeah, that like the tall poppy, they cut them down and make it like everyone else. And that's something that with anonymous comments we're gonna do. There's no repercussions on my end. So if I can make your day miserable to make my that matches my miserable day, then I feel better about myself. And that's a part of the human condition that's really, really unfortunate. Yeah. But it's also not going away anytime soon. So you need to know ahead of time that, you know what? I'm not going to listen to that. That doesn't add any value to anyone's life.
And it's okay to ignore comments, like Dana says, unless it's something to really pay attention to. Disregard stupid comments. But if someone lists a valid point, I acknowledge it and move forward.
There you go, Diana.
Yeah, there's times where I go, that's just a stupid comment. Or I laugh. I actually love giving hearts to like troll comments. I don't know. Like that one about cocaine. That one actually made me happy. I give him a heart.
It's not true either. You don't do cocaine, so.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't do any cocaine. Yeah. What I appreciate, I think, was it your comment who said, "Hey, it's nice to know he thinks you're rich enough to afford cocaine."
Yeah, like,
hey, we're doing okay. Here we go. Judy Harrison, done is better than perfect is the maxim for my channel. I cringe at my videos, but as practice and a learning experience, I just try and improve next time.
Absolutely.
Done. Isn't that the Facebookism, or was for a while?
No, it was like something to break stuff.
Oh yeah,
move fast and break stuff. I think is what it was.
But done is better than perfect. Absolutely. And actually, I've talked to some like big name directors. A friend of mine is a great director, and he's connected to like top level directors, and they talk about how like no video project is ever finished, only abandoned. And it's kind of this thing where you can keep opening it up and tweaking it endlessly, and it'll never be perfect. Like never. Like even for lots of those big gigantic production ones. At the end of the day, there's always things like, yeah, I wish I would have fixed this, or maybe would have done this different or that different, but they get abandoned at some point because you go, good enough.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're making a $100 million movie, there's a lot of pressure on you, right? I can imagine what that movie has to look like.
Yeah.
Hey, this movie's 80% done, and you spent $100 million on it. Like, what? You can't.
I would like to see that. That would be funny. What's next for you? What's the next like creative thing you're going to challenge yourself with?
Okay, so my wife's very creative, and I'm trying to get her involved in what I'm doing because right now she's starting a business and we're in a business, and it's like it's very silo-y, but she's very dramatic and she's very interesting. And I'm like, why don't we do two things? One, this summer after she teaches piano, we're gonna do Tasty Tuesday videos. We're gonna pick publicly a tasty video and we're going to make it. We're going to make it, and we're going to record it.
Like, you know those recipe ones, top down, where they make the thing, you're going to make it.
Yes. And as well, I was talking to G actually here earlier, and I think I'm going to start a podcast. I haven't nailed down the topic yet, but I want to include my wife. I showed her a Logan Paul video today for the very first time, and she
had never seen one before?
Never. Oh, 30 seconds into it, she said, do I have to watch the whole thing? I said, yes. She said, this is stupid. And said, you need to know where internet culture is at, because this is like, this guy is, he's a cultural phenomenon, love him or hate him, right? And so I want to bring in things like that with her and get her to comment on them. And then she's a history major, right? So we're different worlds.
Yeah.
And she'll bring in things like, hey, let's talk about the Crusades. And I'd be like, what? Like, what is that?
I make jokes. I make dad jokes.
Exactly. So that's kind of my next thing, just podcasts and then Tasty Tuesdays. Plus, I have my own YouTube channel, is actually continuing to noodle on that. And you'll see some of that probably this week. I mean, you won't see some of that, but I'll do some of that this week.
Yeah. Again, if you missed it earlier, I'm going to be in Mexico. I'm actually like... You know, I'm not sure. Today I had an interesting experience where I do a lot of like tech reviews on this channel, and then I watch these other guys make tech reviews. I can't remember who they are. I've been tweeting with them. And I watch their tech reviews, and I'm like, these guys are actually doing exactly what I do, but better. And so I was like, maybe I should just leave the tech reviews to them and do something different.
Okay, so what do you do better?
For me, I actually realized something I've gotten away from is actually tips and tricks, and then also continuing to push more into... just trying to inspire people. I think that's something that I have the ability to do sometimes, is to create content where people are like, that actually inspired me to go out and create, and here's the thing that I made because of the video you made that inspired me. If I do that with 4 people a year, that could be massive.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a really unique personality where I don't know many people that can open a book, read one page, be like, yep, close the book and go do what the book says. Like, that is very rare. And so you're right. Like, you have the ability to say, hey, it can be done. Here's how you can do it.
And then I actually want to put more of a focus on our Justin and Greg content, because that's something that I really enjoy, and the opportunities that we're getting are kind of wild and amazing. And so I want to make sure that there's enough in my tank to be able to feed that machine.
Right.
And if you guys haven't seen it, or haven't followed along, you can go subscribe to our YouTube page, which is just kind of growing and getting up, but the content's there. You're on YouTube.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. YouTube.com/Justin and Greg. Go subscribe to the channel. I think that it's not going to look like many subscribers there. Again, we started on Facebook, but we're trying to grow it. And I would love to transition us from Facebook over to YouTube to do our live show and to do some other things, because I feel like there's actually more community here, but we have an awesome, amazing community there. I don't know what I want to do, but
it'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting. But yeah, we're going back to Vegas. We're going to NAB for you tech heads. For you non-tech heads, Greg is coming to NAB.
Hi.
And is going to be commenting on this stuff. If you've never seen a Justin and Greg bit, you'll understand there's a completely different dynamic for Justin and Greg than Justin and Greg. In fact, I tweeted about, I think my favorite piece of content was we rented a Mustang. We drove from LA to Vegas through a snowstorm, which was kind of wild. And I think it was the best piece of content ever that I've ever enjoyed. Somebody was telling me, they're like, the most I ever laughed at anything you guys have ever done is when we saw that car on the highway where there's spoiler on the back of this Chachmobile said
Send nudes.
Send nudes, and he had his Instagram handle. So Greg took off his shirt and sent him a nude photo, and it was funny to capture that. And
yeah, he loved it. He like sent one of these back with some happy face emojis. I thought, hey, my job.
And then a card nearly killed us, but anyway, you know, it was great. But anyway, check out the channel. That'd be great.
My goal at NAB is I actually have no idea what it stands for even to this day. I know that there's a broadcasting something.
Yeah.
I take a lot of pride in straight facing and asking dumb questions, and so I'm going to go ask really dumb questions and pretend like I'm a reporter and just get it on content. And we'll just be like, hey, tell me about the frame rate in this thing, because I don't actually know.
Same trip too. The Vegas Golden Knights have invited us back for playoff hockey. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs for this team, which if you don't follow hockey, you just need to know. They're a brand new team in Vegas, which is not really a hockey town. But their fans are nuts and wild and amazing. We've made this great connection. We're petitioning for our province to adopt them officially. Went down, made some videos. We're all over the news, and now we're going back. And it's going to be fun.
It's so. I'm a hockey guy. Okay, I used to actually do a hockey podcast with my buddy.
Yeah, that's true.
And I love hockey. My favorite player is actually the goalie of the Vegas Golden Knights. The last time we were there, I didn't get to see him, and there was a little like, oh, it's too bad. But then I actually thought, like deep in who I am, I was like, you know what? I'm actually going to see him again because I'm going to be back here. And sure enough, in 2 weeks, I will be back there across from my boyhood idol. No, not Shawn Michaels from WWF, but Marco
Your boyhood idol who's like 5 years younger than you?
No, we're the same age.
Are you the same age?
Yeah.
Oh, same draft year. Yeah,
we had like this thing.
Flower, D. Marshall says. Absolutely.
That's what it is.
Matthias Baldenza says multiple channels or one channel with varied content. And I guess that's interesting with Justin and Greg is Facebook. Well, we started on Facebook because we want to do a Facebook live show. That's actually, we'd only ever met like 3 times in life, and the 4th time, I was like, Greg, do you want to do a Facebook live show with me? And I think we were like, what's a Facebook live show?
How crazy is that, hey? Hey, stranger, basically, let's go live
together. He was funny on camera. Like, he's kind of normal now, but like when you put a camera on, he's like, goes nuts.
Something like that. Yeah.
And so we started a Facebook live show and kind of built the audience there. And then meanwhile, I had my own YouTube channel that was over here, and I was doing more tech-related stuff. And we didn't really think about doing YouTube because we were doing a Facebook live show. But then we started doing more content that actually fits more of what YouTube is with the vlogs and some of the funny little bits. And so
the tough part too is Facebook Watch in America is they have that.
Yes.
So Facebook is only giving certain people a show channel, and that's not us right now. So if they gave that to us, it'd be way easier to do both.
Yes.
But right now it's like, well, Facebook, how long are you going to take? And right now they've got some bigger fish to fry. Analytica. Right? So now it's like, okay, well, maybe we spend time on YouTube. I don't know.
But I think we're creating YouTube-style content, and we also have a Facebook Live show. And so we will take our YouTube-style content, and we'll put it on Facebook because we have, I don't know, 50 times the following there. So we'll give them that content, but I also see wanting to grow the YouTube side. So who knows? At some point, there'll be exclusive YouTube Live content. We'll, like, churn up, what's that thing where people pay you on the side where they can support your content and do exclusive content? I'm just kidding, but they have this thing. You wouldn't. Why am I blanking on this?
Patreon?
Yeah, Patreon.
I wouldn't know it.
Yeah, you.
Hi, Greg from NAB. Does this camera support Patreon?
That'll be a funny bit.
Does it have a Patreon built in?
If it did, if just when you were filming, you got money off of it.
How fast is the Wi-Fi in that thing?
Danielle says Shawn Michaels is my boyhood idol.
So good.
Yeah. Judy Harrison says, I loved your vlog at the Golden Knights game. Thanks,
Judy.
Diana says National Association of Broadcasters, NAB. Now you know. Now you know, Greg. DSD says, wow, I always figured you guys have been friends for a while. We actually got asked if we were brothers in the airport.
Yeah, which is kind of like,
how dare you?
Hey, thank you so much.
No, but it's good. Brother with a camera says, what's up, bro? And that's good. Daniel Lynn says, how long until Jag's Twitch channel is in real life?
I actually want to do this thing. So Twitch, I don't even really know. Like, that's video games, right?
Yeah.
You love video games.
Anything. Yeah.
But what I want you to do is play video games and have me wear the headset and comment and be like, look out below. Like, hey, that was so rude.
We should.
I heard it's wild.
I love video games. I don't get time to play it, but I have PlayStation 3. I didn't buy a PlayStation. I've bought a PlayStation 3 4 times, I think, and the first 3 times I sold it fairly quick. The first time I sold it like the next day, or maybe no, they wouldn't let me return it because I'd opened it. The next time I bought it, I made it a week, and then I sold it because I'm a very addictive person. The last time I played for like 7 months, and then I stopped playing video games. I started a YouTube channel, and here we are. But I have PlayStation 3 now, but it doesn't get played as much. But
Breaker 19, you need to flank to the left. They're coming at you with something.
That'd be funny. We will need to do that. Anyway, that's Sunday night. I'm going to be probably off YouTube for the next like I don't know, week and a bit.
You should journal and share your journal with us. Video journal number 1, like on your phone, right?
You guys can see sick photos on my Instagram and maybe some stories, but there'll be not really videos.
Plug.
Instagram.com/Justin Rivas. And Sir Greg Moore, if you want to follow him, his YouTube channel, you can't find with that handle because you don't have enough subscribers to get a custom URL. But
it doesn't matter.
He has a couple of vlogs that are actually fun. Greg is very, very entertaining. So he's very quick. But anyway, Sir Greg Moore, if you want to follow him. Thanks for hanging out on a Sunday night, you guys. You guys are amazing.
Thank you to the super chats. That's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. KJ and Andrew Russell and Chad Watkins. We just bought ourselves McDonald's lunch.
Pizza.
For struggling entrepreneurs, that's great.
Yeah, actually, it's huge for us. So.
It's Andrew Russell says no Jags Tuesday. No, I'm going to be in Mexico unless... The funny thing is Greg doesn't have the technical abilities to set up the show. Last time he was on vacation.
I pause?
Yeah.
Can I pause for a second here?
Yeah, here we go.
Me not having the technical abilities is just a result of you not sharing them with me. Yeah. Justin is a very big control freak and won't let me touch the light or the camera or the stuff. So I don't know how to do it. I'm sitting here crippled and he's leaving. I'm like, I have a show without him. Like I can really soar now. And no, I can't because he's got the keys to the castle.
You can do it from your phone.
He's got the keys to the castle.
The last time Greg was on vacation, I went and pulled all the best photos from his Facebook, like went serious diving back there, and we did a show, and he wasn't there, and it was kind of amazing.
Wow, I mean, it's all public, too, on Facebook.
Brother with the camera says, take it easy, guys. I'll have to watch a replay to see what I missed. Anyway, you guys are awesome. We are going to end the stream here.
Thanks for watching.
I think this is how we stop it. Yeah, thank you.